Alright, for our next page I want you to open up your paper pad, and we're going to go to the page with the circles. So go ahead and tear that one out. Then take your trimmer and we're going to, I've already cut mine, but we're going to go to 10 inches minus 1/16 of an inch and cut, and then go to 8 inches minus 1/16 of an inch and cut that. Then in your paper, your extra pieces, you should have some more that have the pink roses on there, and we are going to use this to make a pocket. My piece is already cut down, but just make sure yours is 8 inches minus 1/16, and cut that down there. And then for the width, I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. Then I'm going to take some black cardstock, and I'm not going to use this one because it's not wide enough. Well, yes it is. Oh, 8. We're going to go to 8 inches and cut it down. And then I'm going to go to 3 1/4 and cut that down. And we're going to do some die cutting with this. Alright, so I'm going to set aside that page. Now I used a combination. Let's start with, for the black page, I used the Delicate Border Basics. And I used, well, I guess depending on how you had yours packaged, I used the second to the last die, and I'll bring that up close so you could see that. Can you see that there? There's a good shot of it. Or maybe you could see it better after I finish cutting it out. So I'm going to find the center of my page. So we're going to go at 4 inches. And that's where I'm going to center my die cut. And I'm also going to check both my ends to make sure it's straight. And I'm going to take some washi tape and hold that down. And I'm going to run it real quick through my die cutting machine. Alright. So I'm going to carefully peel that off. And we're going to set that one aside for just a minute. Now take your design paper, and the die that I use is this bottom one here, and I'll bring that up close. Let me put it up against the black so y'all could see it. There we go. That's the one I'm going to be using. And then also in the Classic Border Basics, we've used this one before. I'm going to use this plain, let's see, just the plain line that cuts a plain line. And what I'm going to do is find the center of my paper, which we know is going to be about 4 inches. Make a mark, Now I'm going to use just the one line, and I'm going to turn it to where this center curve is going up like a mountain. Then I'm going to take this one, flip it over, and put it underneath. And just kind of eyeball it, center it as best that I can. And check that it's even on both ends. And then I'm going to take some washi tape. And I'm going to run that through. Well, I need one more piece of tape. It's getting a little wiggly. Run that one through my die cutting. Alright, we're going to pull that apart. Just set all this aside for a minute. Now, as we know, we need to cut the edges just like we've done before. So take your scissors and try to follow that curve. And we're going to do that on both ends. Okay, and how this one is going to sit, it's going to go underneath the curve you already cut out on your black cardstock. And I think I had mine upside down. So I'm going to hold this here, and then I'm going to cut the black cardstock and follow that curve. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then see what we have there. Oh, missed a little spot. There we are. So we have our little top part that's peeking out from our cardstock. And it looks like somehow my cardstock, let's see if I can get it in place. Yeah, see, my cardstock is kind of hanging over a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get my trimmer and cut that down. I'll place it again where I want it. Flip it over. Well, if I can keep it together. Alright, so that's where I want it on the top. So this little overhang here, I'm just going to trace it with a pencil, and then I'm going to trim that out so we can get a little black border peeking out underneath it. Yeah, that is better. Alright. let's go ahead and glue that one down. Take your cardstock, flip it over, and place your wet glue in the back. And on this one we have some bling to add. Well, I keep getting mine doing it upside down. Trying to get my glue off there. You can tell when you're upside down with your die cut, it's kind of rough on the bottom. Let me flip that back over to the correct side and set this one down in place. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get our bottom page, and we're going to get our score tape, and this is a pocket, so we only want to put our tape on 3 sides. I'm going to take off the score tape, or the backing of the score tape rather, and we want this to go all the way to the bottom of our page. Alright, let's go ahead and get our bling on a roll. Put my stopping my glues to dry out, and grab your hot glue gun or whatever you like to use to place it down. Now the way I did this one is I put it right on the top edge of the cardstock, just following that line. I'm going to try and move quickly here for you, so you're not waiting on me. Of course, you have the pause and the fast forward button. The only thing bad about hot glue, they got those little strings everywhere. Like I said before, you can take your heat setter and run it across there, and it'll get rid of all those little glue strings for you. Got a little too much glue right here. I'm just going to try and get it off real quick. Then I put a little gemstone, the same that I've been using throughout the album, in the center here. So I'm going to get one of those. I'm going to place it right in the center in this top of this little curve here. And then on mine I added one of my feathers down at the bottom and a couple of flowers. So let me grab some flowers. See what we want to use today. And a little pink. A couple little white. These are both recollection flowers that I picked up at Michael's. I think I'm just going to set it up just like that. So glue down my feather. I also bought, when I reordered this paper, I got the little ephemera pack. I think when I go finish showing you guys the album and I go back to put my photo mats and everything in, I'm going to go in there and see what I can add to it. Alright, now we can go ahead and put this one in our album. So let me grab that. So we're going to flip to our next page. And I'm just going to use wet glue on this one. Alright, just center it onto your black cardstock as best as you can. There we go. Can't find my bone folder. I'll use this one. Alright. Now we are ready for our next page. So I'm going to get everything together and I'll be right back with y'all. Alright, for our next page, we are going to get another one with the circles. And actually, let's go ahead and get two of them because this one has a flap with a pocket in it. So let me cut the tab off of this one. And we're going to make this our base page. So we're going to cut 8 inches minus 1/16. Set that aside. We're going to use that in a little bit. Then we're going to go 10 inches minus 1/16. Alright. And just set this aside and we'll get back to it. And grab you some black cardstock. We are going to cut it at 8 inches. Then we're going to go to 10 inches minus 1/16, and we're going to make another cut. Then take your scoreboard, move this out of the way. We're going to put it on our 8-inch side, 8 inches at the top. We're going to score at 1/2 inch. Fold that down, and what this is going to be, we're going to have a pocket that folds out like this. So in order to make our pocket, we're going to get another scrap piece, or let me get another piece of cardstock. We're going to go to 10 inches long minus 1/16 and cut. And then for the width, we're going to start at 4 inches. And we're going to use a die cut on this. So we're using the Heartfelt Creations Regal Borders and Pockets. And let me show you, because mine's kind of a big mess in this packet here. I'll show you the two that I'm using. Alright, we're going to use this die here, and then the matching one that goes onto the top of it. So we're going to use both of these dies. So let me get a ruler and find our center mark, which is going to be about 5 inches. Oops. Make a mark. And get some washi tape ready. Now if you have some washi tape and it feels like it's a little bit too strong and you don't want to rip your design paper when you're taking it off, just put it on your clothes for a second and peel it off, and it'll make it not quite so sticky for you. So I'm just going to grab a couple of pieces here. Alright. Get both of your dies and pick it up, flip it over, and I'm going to center my die on the center of our mark. And then I'm going to check, make sure it's straight. Now I can't get my washi tape. Alright. I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine real quick. have lots of little pieces to clean out of here. But before I do that, I know this die, the top of this die is really delicate. We're going to go ahead and cut off the ends. Oh, come on, you little booger. Get your cutting pad. And we're going to go from where the die stopped, and we're going to cut it straight across here, and then the same thing there. Try and get my paper as straight as I can. Knife. I'm going to flip it over and do the same. I'm just trying to line it up straight with the lines on my cutting pad. Alright. And we can take that top part off. I'm going to go ahead and clean all this out, and then I'll be right back with y'all. Alright, so I have mine cleaned up and cut out. And I wanted to show y'all, as delicate as this cutout is, I like to take, this is Ranger Multimedia Matte. And I just kind of rub it on my finger, or between my fingers, and rub it on that die cut, and it'll stiffen it up a little bit when it's dry, and that way it'll have less chance of breaking when people are trying to slide photo mats in and out. Just gives it a little bit of extra strength. Now you could probably do the same thing with maybe some Mod Podge. If you have it in the matte. This one's shiny right now, but when it dries it will not be so shiny. So that's just a little trick, or what I like to do. Well, get back up there. Alright, so we're going to take our scrap for our little circles there, and we're going to run it through here. But first, I put some, let me see how I did this. Hold on just one second. I put some trim like this, and then I put, let's go ahead and put this down first, and let's see how wide this was again. Of course, you can make your cardstock go all the way to the top there if you'd like. I left this black underneath and just ran. Let's see, I cut mine at one, excuse me, 1.5. So let's go ahead and get our cutting board. And we're going to go to 8 inches wide. Mine is 1/16. Wait, my apologies. It's up and down. So it's 10 inches. 10 inches minus 1/16. Then I'm going to do mine at 1.5, 1.25. Alright. 1.5 inches. Now, like I said, you can go all the way to the top here if you want, and but I put ribbon on mine, and then I put the paper, so I'm going to cut it at 1.5. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. I'm just going to give me a little black 1/16 of an inch from the edge. Alright, now I'm going to put some ribbon. And guess what I did, ladies? The same exact thing I did last time. I'm on the back. Well, good thing I have some extra paper. Let me go ahead and cut that down again. Let's see, 1.5 inches. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to use my glue gun on this one. So y'all just grab any lace that y'all have already in your stash. And then we also added some bling on this one. I believe we did. Let me double check my computer. Yes, we did use some bling. Oh, got too much glue there. Yow. That stuff is hot. Alright, let's get our bling on a roll, which I am quickly running out of. And I am trying to go quickly so I do not bore y'all to death. I think my next thing I need to learn to do in my editing software is to speed up the video. So I will work on trying to figure that out. I try not to make them too long for y'all. See if I can run real quick and get this finished. There we go. Let me cut off the excess. And then I put a gem again. And I'm just going to go with the center here. And we're just going to put that right there. Alright, set that aside for a moment. And we need the background of our flap. So if you look through, let's see, I'm going to look through my scraps real quick. Yeah, I don't have the right one. Let me get my paper pad. Let's see what we got here. Well, I use this gray color, but I don't see that I have any scraps, not enough. Left to do that, so we are going to improvise. Let's see. Let me see how far our cutout goes. And figure out how wide we need it to be. So we need it to be at least 5.5 inches wide. So I'm going to pause for a second, look through my scraps, and see what I have. Alright, so I found a piece. This one is 5 inches wide, but I tested it out, and when you have your little 1/16 inch reveal here and adding this, it fits. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down. Now remember, your flap is on the left hand side, so fold that behind it, and we want to come in a little bit to have a black reveal on that side. Well, I was so worried about the width I didn't look at the height of it, so mine's a little too tall. I'm going to cut about 1/16 of an inch off. That's better. There's some quick drying glue. It already started to set up in that short time I took to try and cut it. I have no idea what I did with my bone folder. Alright, now take your little pocket and flip that over, and we're going to put our score tape around it. And of course, if you did the right side, the correct side, you won't have this little piece right here. Yeah, I messed that up. Alright, take the backing off of your tape. Okay, and we're going to line it all the way up to the edge. Flip mine around, I can see this better. There we are. Now we have our side pocket. So in the album, when we open this side, we have two flaps that flip up, which are probably 4 by 6. I will check that. Yes. Alright, so I used, it looks like the feathers. Yes, so grab your paper pad and pull out the page with the feathers on it. There we are. And get your paper trimmer. I'm going to start by cutting off the little tab. Alright, and it was 7 inches, correct? 7.5. So we are going to go to our 7.5 mark. I got too much stuff on my desk. Alright, go to 7.5 minus 1/16. Cut. And then we're going to go to 10 minus 1/16 and cut. Alright, and then we're going to have 2 fold outs. So I found another piece of scrap, and it is 4 inches wide. So I'm going to cut that at 6 inches. So we should end up with 2 pieces that are 4 by 6. So we're going to set that one aside and grab some black cardstock. And I have some scraps that I am going to use. Sure. Not those scraps. Alright. So we want to go to, let's do 4 5/8 by 6 1/8. And we need 2 of those. So to go over that again, 4 5/8 by 6 1/8. Alright, then we're going to take our scoreboard take both of our flaps. Ah, I found my ball folder. We're going to put it on the 4 5/8 side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. The 4 5/8 side, score at 1/2 inch. Scraps of paper everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that down. And take it. And yes, that fits. But we do need to go to find for our inside piece. But I think on the inside of mine I have the world. Let me double check my computer. Huh. Hold on just one moment. Alright ladies, I have another correction. We only need one of these flaps because the other one, what it is I have my page when I was looking at the computer. This one goes up and the other one goes sideways. So take one and set that aside, maybe use it for another project. And when I looked, I have the world paper on the bottom here. So I'm going to take my scrap and we're going to cut it at 4 by 6. So that one's going to be for the inside of our flap. Then grab you another black cardstock and let's go ahead and cut it at 4 1/8 by 6 5/8. Alright, just the correction. Or again, sorry. 4 1/8 by 6 5/8. Now set that aside and grab your scoreboard. Alright, so we're on the 6 5/8 side and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Now we got it. So this flap is going to go down here and it opens this way. Now we're still going to use our cut piece of the gray on the front, and then on my album I use the roses. So I'm going to cut my piece down to 4 by 6. Alright, 4 by 6. And I do apologize if that was too confusing. I promise to I'll only ever make videos of albums I still have on hand. Alright. So let's go ahead and glue our top pieces down. So now I have my top flap, my flap here, and I'm going to glue my gray piece right on top of there. Alright, then we're going to flip that one over, and we need a magnet right here. Come out, glue. The only thing bad about these fine tips is they will get clogged up. I'm going to cover that with my score tape. Then I'm going to take my world piece and make sure that one yeah, that fits. Pull off our tape backing. Alright, now take our flap with the fold on the right hand side, and on that one again I used the gray on the front. Okay, I'm going to flip that over, add a magnet to the end here. Add our tape. Then we're going to go ahead and glue our next one down, which mine was the flowers. Alright, let's see how we want to add these. So if I had it centered, going up, I'm trying to decide if I want to cut the page here so that they're center on one top of each other, or if we just want to put it to the side here, which that's what it looks like I did in my album. Yeah, let's do it like that. We gotta cut our paper again, so grab your cutting board. Oh wait, time out. We're gonna do it at the top. That's exactly how I'm gonna do it. Alright. I'm going to glue it always makes me nervous when I cut in the paper to add those, like we did the waterfalls. I think my feathers are upside down. I can't really tell, honestly. And we're going to take it and just center it the best that you can. Put that paper all the way up to the score line without going over. Alright, then take our side tab. Let's see if I can measure here where I'm going to put it. Let's put it 1 inch from the bottom. If I got it. I'll put your page all the way to that score line. And then we have our two flaps. So we're going to flip it over and we're going to find our magnets. There we go. I'm going to put some glue, put some tape, and then we will move on. Alright, so grab our previous flap that we made and flip that over, and make sure your tab is on your right hand side. And I'm going to check to make sure mine fits, so please check yours. And for some reason mine's a little long on this side here. So I am going to cut that down a little bit. I'm just going to cut it about 1/16 of an inch. If that much. Let me test that and see how it looks. Well, ladies, mine's a little long on both, on the bottom part. I don't even remember what I told y'all what size it is, so just try and trim yours down to match. Alright, make sure we have it. Flap on the right hand side. I'm going to take my little score tape off, and I'm just going to add some glue. Okay, now make sure your flaps are correct, top and the right side, and center that on your paper. Put this all the way up to the fold line. Whoops. So grab your base page. I'm going to take and taper these corners, edges, sorry. Y'all can see that I just tapered it a little bit on both sides. And I'm going to take some glue and put it on the tab. Put our page all the way up to that score line. There we go. Alright, now we have our magnets on this side, and we want our flap, use my phone folder and get that nice, and we want our flap to stick to our back page. So go ahead and flip this over and find one of those magnets. I'm going to use this one here. There we go. some glue and tape on it. Let's see how that holds. Yeah, mine holds good. Depending on how strong your magnets are, you may want to put one to catch this one at the top so that stays closed with your album. Alright, so let's grab our album and we'll add this page to it. And I'm going to grab my white sheet and put it under here so I can see my edges really well. And since we have a large pull on this one, I'm going to put score tape all the way around. Alright, make sure that it adheres really well. Don't forget to pull the backing off your little magnet. And I'm also going to add some wet glue. Alright. And try and get it on your page center where you have a little black border around all the edges. Make sure that it adheres down really well. Especially in this fold right here. Alright. Now we have our little pocket with the flap, and then a flap, and then another flap. So now we just have a couple more pages. I'm going to go ahead and pause and take a break because I think I made more mistakes in this one video than I did in the whole album. So I'm going to take a little break and get my thoughts together, and I'll get right back with y'all. Alright, for our next two pages, we need our paper with the globes on it, and we need our extra gray page that I found that I thought I was out of. And I'm going to cut the tabs off. Alright, for this one, what we need to do is turn it facing you with the globes in the center, and we want to cut it at 6 inches, which will should go straight down. Well, it's not quite straight, is it? Alright, we're going to cut it at 6 inches. And we're going to take those two and we're going to set them aside for just a moment. Now for this one, we're going to cut the tabs. Come up there. Alright, we're going to go to our 10-inch mark minus 1/16. And on this one, we need 4 pieces that are 1 inch wide. So 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, one more. 1 inch. Alright, set that aside. Now going back to our globe paper, we need to cut it for our 10-inch. Let me see. I like the roses at the top and the bottom. So I'm trying to figure out how we can still try and add those in. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave just the rose at the bottom. So let's go ahead and go to our 10-inch minus 1/16 and we're going to cut. Then on our second one, 10-inch minus 1/16 and cut. So it leaves our roses at the bottom and are cut just above the globe at the top. Alright, on this one we need to go ahead and get out our album. Turn to the correct page. Alright, we're going to piece these together. What I did was, and we may have to adjust this a little bit, I have a 1-inch section here. Then I put the globe. And then I have another section here. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and put down our 1-inch sections and then we'll just lay the globe in the center over the top. So go ahead and put some glue. And we'll see how that fits. Because I'm trying to remember how I did it. That album I made, I think, was back in August. So I'm going to put this down and I'm going to go to just like a 1/16 inch off from that fold. Now get your other 1-inch piece. And also a 1/16 of an inch from the outside edge. Alright, now let's see how this falls in here. Okay, so when you put this piece down, it's just barely going to overlap on this side and overlap on this side. Alright, and I'm just going to glue it down in place like this. Let me check my top and my bottom. Good. Make sure you get a lot of glue on this, both of these sides, so it adhere to that edge, because it's going to have a little fall down right there. There we go. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Alright. And I'm going to put my white paper behind it so I can see my edges well. And again, we want to come in 1/16 of an inch from the score line, from that fold. Oh, it's right here. And then our outside one, 1/16 of an inch away. I wish I had a nickel for every time I said 1/16 of an inch through this whole tutorial. I'd be a very rich person. And then in the center, there we are. And that way we have two large, where they can just put like an 8x10 photo on top of there. Alright, now we have our last page and then our back cover. So let me set this aside. And grab your paper pad and your scraps. And we're looking for the large roses. This one here. Just 1 second, my glue is spurting out everywhere. Okay. I'm going to cut the tab off. Go to 10 minus 1/16 of an inch and cut. Go to 8, down 1/16 of an inch and cut. So we're going to use this page, and we're going to make a little pocket at the bottom here with our excess. And let me see which die cut that I used. Alright, from the Classic Border Basics. Let me show you which one. We're going to take 2 of them. And let me show you which ones that I'm using. There we go. And then also, again, we're going to use the straight one, like that. Alright, so we need some black cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I'm going to cut it down to the 8-inch width. Minus 1/16. And I'm going to leave the length Let me cut this scrap down to 1/8 minus. Actually, let's go with 7 7/8, which is 1/8. Excuse me, which is 8 inches minus 1/16, and then another 16th, just so it'll give you a little border side to side here. All right. So I'm going to take the one with the straight edge, and I am going to put it on top of here, just like we did previously. I'm going to take some washi tape, find my center to my paper, which is going to be approximately 4 inches. Measure each side to make sure it's even. I'm going to put that aside for just a minute. And we're going to take our black, same thing, measure our center, which is going to be approximately 4 inches. Find the center, and let me show you how I'm putting them together, like this. And make sure we're even on each side. And, well, it'd help if I actually put the cutting side down. Let me try that again. It's Good Friday today, or I guess everybody call it Black Friday. So I've been shopping. So I'm a little tired today. And I'm going to run these both through my die cutting machine real quick. Alright. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut kind of following along with that curve. then we're going to take our piece, put it up like that, and then cut the black cardstock following that curve. Alright, now I'm going to take my cutting board and, or sorry, my trimmer, and I'm going to cut, let's go ahead and glue it down first, and then I'll cut the excess off. And then we'll add some bling. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough bling to finish. I looked through my scraps, or through my stock, and I couldn't find any. We'll try this and we'll see. Alright, so just per usual, follow the edge on the top of the cardstock there. I think I'm like just barely not going to have enough to do our last page. Add little glue strings. There we go. Cut the little excess. And then on mine I put a little gemstone on it. Right there. Alright, so let's go ahead and add that to our back page. We'll get our score tape and put it on the 3 sides. And let's put that on our page. And we want it all the way down on the bottom edge. Looks like mine got a little crooked somehow. I think when I go through my ephemera cards that I bought, or yeah, my little packet of ephemera things that I showed y'all, I think I'll find something and put it down there. So grab your album and we'll go ahead and put this page in. And I'm just going to glue mine in. Alright. There we go. Ready for y'all to fill with photo mats. Alright. Now we are ready for our back cover. Let me measure our first one and see what we ended up making it at. It was 10 1/4 by 8 1/4. And we're going to do another pocket. So let's set this aside. And I want you to grab your paper pad, and we should have another page with the larger roses with the little squigglies on the back. My glue up before it dries out on me. And we're going to cut the tab off. And we're going to cut it 10 1/4 by 8 1/4. Alright, so go ahead and keep your scraps, and then find if you have any scraps with, we're going to use this 4 by 12 inch sheet. Let's see. Let me see how wide our other pocket was. I can't remember how wide it was. 2 inches. I have this leftover 2-inch piece, so we're going to use that. Alright, so our bottom, we're going to use this 4-inch by 12, and then we're going to do another pocket just like the one that we made previous side. So I'm going to grab some black cardstock, and I'm going to start with using the straight edge one. Well, take that back. I'm going to start with cutting the width. So we're 8 1/4 inches wide. So we're going to go to 8 1/4 minus 1/16. And then we're going to take some black cardstock, and that one's not wide enough. Let's see what this one looks like. Alright, our black cardstock we're going to cut at 8 1/4. And we'll adjust the height of it later. Alright, so find our center, which, let's see, 8, I'm going to put mine at 4 1/8. And we're going to center our die on there. Center each. There we go. Let's put one more piece on there. Set that aside for a moment. Take our black cardstock. 4 1/8. And then take our same dies that we did on the previous page. Well, I need to clean. Okay, I'm going to clean this up. And just like the previous page, I'm going to cut this one out, and then I'm going to cut this one out, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I have mine cut out, and before we adhere the top down, I'm going to go ahead and get my scissors and cut the black cardstock, following that curve. We're going to do that on both sides. There we are. Now I have a little flap up on this last page, so we're going to go ahead and take a magnet so that flap will have something to adhere to. So I'm just going to put it in the center. And then get my score tape, put a piece of tape on it. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and then we'll trim the bottom of it. There we are. Now grab your paper trimmer, and let's trim down that bottom. And then that's what you'll have. And I'm not going to have enough bling to do this one. If it was straight, nope. Yeah. I'm going to let you do that part on your own. I need to order some more bling. But first, what I want to get to is, I was just looking through my paper pad, and the front of our cover was the small, sorry. Alright, sorry about that, ladies. I'm actually on call this week, and surprisingly, that's the only time my phone has rang through this whole video. Alright, as I was saying, I noticed through my paper pad on the front of our album, I used the paper with the smaller roses, And looking through my pad, I didn't have that page left. So I think in the beginning of the tutorial that I ended up cutting an extra sheet off camera where I had made a mistake. So I'm hoping that you still have yours in your paper pad to use on the front. And I don't know if I have one to show you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the small roses, and I don't remember what was on the back of it. But anyhow, so we cut our large roses to fit on the back cover. Got mine upside down. To fit on the back cover. So if you do not have the smaller roses, that's the ones that we use in the front pages. This one here. If you don't have any left, you could save this piece that we cut for the back cover and instead put it on your front cover. Now, since it was cut at 4 1/4 by 1 1/4, it's going to leave you, let me pan out a little bit. Whoops, wrong way. It's going to leave you with a border around all the sides. So you can use that if you don't have one left, or since I've already made this album once before, I'm going to use this one as my cover and change it up a little bit. So stop now, pause the video, look through your paper pad, see what you have left, and change your album accordingly. Alright, let me set this aside for just a minute. And I'm going to take my sheet because I'm choosing to use this one, and then I'm going to use a different one for the front. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this pocket down. Usually when I start an album, I pick out my cover page and I set it aside to where I don't accidentally use it. So if you're trying to make this identical to the one I have, I do apologize, and I just hope that you had that extra sheet left over. Alright, we're going to go ahead and tear the backing off. Alright, so you can, if you have the bling on a roll, go ahead and put yours following that curve just like we did on the previous page. I'm going to order some in a minute and finish up mine later. And then I also put down a gemstone in the center here just like we did on the other one. Alright, now we have 2 flaps. So you should have some scraps. This one's 4 inches wide, and then I have another one. We use the back part on the inside of the flap. And grab some black cardstock. And let's go ahead and cut. I'm cutting on the 11 length. I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4, and then that should give you 2 pieces 4 1/4 by 11. And I used a die cut on this. Set this aside. I used the florist frame pocket. Let me go ahead and go in a little bit for y'all. Alright, and I just used the top. So I'm going to start with cutting that out first. Well, where'd my top go? I bet I put it in the wrong one. Let me see. That's exactly what I did. I put them both in the wrong pocket. Okay. So again, it's florist frame pocket, and we're just using the top. I just accidentally put it back in the wrong pocket piece. Okay, we're going to put this at the top, centering it as much as you can. And I'm going to use my washi tape to put that in place. Alright, I'm going to cut this one out, clean it up, and then our other piece, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And I'll be right back with y'all. Okay, so I have both of my pieces die cut now. And with mine, I ended up, see the edge right there on both of them? It didn't quite go all the way to the end. So I'm going to put mine under the trimmer, and I'm going to place it right where this stops here and just cut that little bit of excess off. Now, I've already done it to this one. You can see it's a clean edge on the side, and it doesn't have that little knee right there. Matter of fact, I'm going to tear this little top part off. There we go. Now both of them are straight. Okay, now I want you to take your flap, and we're going to put the very tip here at 6 inches. So the very tip at 6 inches, and then we're going to cut, and we're going to do that to both of them. Alright, then get out your scoreboard. Place it on your scoreboard with the tip facing outwards, and I want you to score at 1/2 inch. And we're going to do that to both of them. And what this is going to do is we're going to center it from the top, and then we're going to have one coming up from the bottom. Well, I didn't want those two to touch. Let me try that one more time. I didn't want them both to touch in the center. I measured it off camera and I thought that I had it. So let me pull this down a little bit. Let's get out our scoreboard. Let's try this one more time. let's go to, let's see, 0.75 and score it. Let's see where that one falls at for both of them. There we are. They're just barely touching, but I like that a little bit better. Okay, let's go ahead and put our design paper. Take your paper and measure and make sure the width is correct. I think mine's a little too big. It is about 1/16 of an inch. See how long we want it. Three and a quarter. So get out your paper pad. We're going to take our long side and I'm going to cut off 1/16 of an inch. And let me double check that that width is okay. Alright, it is. So let's cut it at 3 and a quarter. Let me double check. Alright. And let's cut one more, 3 and a quarter. And we're going to use this side for the back. Since we have it here, let's cut it at 3 and a quarter. And we need one more. So go through your scraps. And we're going to cut it at 3 and a quarter. And I think this one may not be wide, maybe too wide. Yeah, mine's too wide, so I'm going to cut off 1/16 of an inch on the width. So let me see here. Alright, we have 2 for the back and 2 for the fronts. So let's go ahead and start gluing that down. Make sure I have mine facing up this time. Okay, grab your page with the pocket. Now if you remember, we put that magnet down here, so let's go ahead and put one on the top. And we're going to put some glue on the top of it. Well, mine flipped over. Come here, you little bugger. We're going to center as much as we can, and I'm just going to push down. And if you can see, that glue I put on top of the magnet made a little mark right there, so I'm going to take it and transfer it on that spot and put some tape down. Okay, and this one's ready to add into place, so I'm going to take that backing off and put the design paper down. Sorry, I'm just thinking. In my photo album previously I did it like this, but I'm really liking this black cardstock instead. I'm going to use that side. Alright, now add glue to your tab and add it all the way up to that second score line that we ended up making so we could make it shorter. Center this on the page and push that down. Now for our top piece, we can just add our magnet anywhere. So I'm just going to put it about right there. Put some tape. And then put down our cardstock. Or design paper, sorry. Alright, now we're going to put glue all the way again to that second score line that we made. And I'm going to put it even with this tip here. And then press that down. Whoops. There we go. And we take our magnet. There we go. Alright. This page is ready to go. So grab your album. Now on my album I didn't put a closure. If you do decide that you want some ribbon or a chain or what have you, the time to do that will be now before you put your back piece on. Alright, I'm going to take my backing off my magnet, and then I'm just going to use wet glue on this one. And then just try and center that on your page, or your back cover rather. Alright, I'm going to show y'all, I don't know if y'all can see it on the camera. Let me hold this up close. Can you see the white that's showing right there on side of my black cardstock? And then I also have a little bit here at the bottom. Actually, it's on this side too. If you do have that, black markers will cover that up and it will be unnoticeable. Let me paint it real quick and I'll show y'all the difference. It's just around that black cardstock. It's kind of peeking through, and I don't care for that look on my album. So see how now you can't see it? Well, if I can get it. I'm knocking everything off. You can't tell with the black painted over it. Okay, now we are ready to do our front cover, our spine, and our back. And as stated, I'm using this one for the front, and let me see. The last one I used the worlds. I think I'm going to do the same. Okay. I'm going to have a little bit covering the spine. I think on mine I did some trim on that side. I'm looking in my, yeah. So let's cut our cover page at 8 1/4. by 10 3/8. Alright, I'm going to start with cutting this little tab off. Let me close my glue before it dries out on me. Alright, so we're going to go to 10 3/8. So that's 10 1/4. And if you're wondering, it's the little line between 10 1/4 and 10 1/2. So 10 3/8. Let's see how that fits. Yeah, I like that. By 8 1/4. Yes, I like the way that looks. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same to my paper that I chose for the back. So 10 3/8 by 8 1/4. Okay, so let's set that aside for a moment. For my spine piece, I'm using some specialty paper that I picked up at probably Michael's. And I've already cut the height. And on your spine, you want the exact same height of your album, on the design paper I like to leave a little border. So for my spine, I'm going to cut it at 10.5, which I've already done that. And I have mine to where it wraps around, so the width that I used is 6 1/4. So 10.5 by 6 1/4. Alright, so I'm going to take my spine piece and I'm going to center it on each edge of the spine and keep your album open. Then I'm going to press it in on the back part. Let me turn it sideways, maybe that can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to press it around the indentation keeping my album open just on the top edges so we can get an idea of where we need to score that at. And you see it there? Alright, now I have those 2 indentions there, so I'm going to take my scoreboard place that down, and then I'm going to score where those indentions are. So my measurement might not be the same as yours, so just try and get it as close as you can. Let's see. Oops, shifting on me. Take off my little label. There we go. Alright, now we are going to load it down with score tape. You cannot use too much score tape on these edges. So I'm going to start with the outer side. We'll put a score on the inside, or actually on both sides of the score line. Put it all down the center. We want this one nice and tight on that spine. And actually I'm going to go ahead and do the tops of the bottoms, but not putting the tape over the score line. And I'm also going to add some glue to it when we go to place it down. If you had some wider score tape, you're more than welcome to use it, because I know that's kind of a lot there. Make sure all of that is down good. Okay, I'm going to start with taking off my score tape just on this front flap here. And then go ahead and get your album. Okay, we're going to start with putting our, I done lost the word, our score right on the edge of our album. And place that down. I can't see mine, so I'm going to flip it up. There we go. Adhere that down. Okay. Now, take and pull off the score tape, the score tape just in the center from this score line to this score line. I'm going to peel off all that tape. I'll put it down here so I can access it a little bit better. And then I'm going to add some glue for extra support. Alright, now I'm going to flip my album back up so you can see what I'm doing. And make sure your album is open. Now I'm just going to push that, let me turn it like this. I'm going to push it in and press really hard on that score tape and make sure that it adheres well. Alright, for our last tab, I'm going to take off the tape. This one's hard to get everything in the camera, so I apologize if it's hard to see. And then I'm going to put some extra glue on mine. Now when you put this last piece in place, definitely make sure that your album is open, or else you'll get little gaps in your corner. So I'm just going to leave that open, and I'm going to push in and make sure that it adheres down really well. Alright, now we have our spine piece on. I'll make sure that we definitely got the front. And now it is time to put on our front cover. I'm just double checking my size. I think mine, I went too far on this edge because I want to see that specialty paper. So I'm going to trim mine down just a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to trim mine off 3/4 of an inch. And that way they can see more of the pretty specialty paper that I have on there. Alright, 3/4 of an inch. There we go. You'll see how it shows more of that specialty paper. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put some score tape on this one. And if you're using a closure on your album, just be mindful of that when you're putting down your front cover. And I'm going to run a couple of pieces through the center. There we are. Now I'm going to take that backing off. And add some wet glue. I'm definitely going to put some glue on these taped edges just in case I need to make any adjustments. Get your front cover, open your album one more time to make sure you're not upside down or backwards. Yes, I have done that before. Let's see. There we are. Alright, we're going to flip that over and do our back part, which I'm going to cut mine down a little bit again. Yeah, I'm going to cut 3/4 of an inch off of that one. Let's see. What would it look like with the flowers? I mean the feathers instead. Let me see. You know what? I really like those feathers. I'm going to use that one instead. Well, let's just put one down the center. Alright, let's add some glue. Okay. And there we go. Now the front of mine, I did add some lace across this edge, and I'm going to do that again. I use this wide lace right here. So I'm going to go ahead and add it a second time to this album. And I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac glue for that. Make sure I'm using the right side. They both look identical. Well, what did I do? I unscrewed them all. I think my cap glued on. Now you can use whatever type of ribbon, whatever type of glue that you want to add it down. You cannot add trim. It is completely up to you. Man, that glue gets everywhere. Alright, I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm going to put some clips on mine to hold that in place until the glue dries. And then on my album, I added bling up through this edge here, which I don't have enough left. So if you want it exactly like mine, add some bling and then decorate your top part. So I believe this is going to be the conclusion to the album. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, I've put my email address again in the description box. If you get stuck anywhere, please just don't hesitate to email me and ask me questions. And it's been fun, guys. I appreciate y'all watching. Bye-bye.